Good morning, everyone. Woo! Woo! Good morning. Thanks for joining me today at 10 a.m. It's not that late, so that early. So anyway, thank you very much for joining here this morning and this talk. And today I'm going to talk about something which I think is very relevant, and it's how to stay tech relevant. And first, let me introduce myself. My name is Lobera, and I do love JavaScript. That's why I like to introduce myself using it. And I also love GraphQL, React, Lean, and Agile, and dancing, and my partner as well. Not in this particular order, of course. And I work for this company, which actually we teach React and GraphQL in many places in Europe. So check it out if you're interested. And I think this conference is amazing. And I mean, like, a lot of days learning a lot of things. And I wonder, like, so many things, what am I going to learn next here? I get a lot of ideas. So what are you going to focus on? Are you going to learn everything? I mean, that's a lot of things. And actually, there's this idea of the JavaScript fatigue. So, like, there are so many things that if we try to learn everything, we're going to get tired. And according to Google, there are 42 million people suffering this disease. Might be one of them. And interesting, if you actually try to type something in Google, it will give you some hints. And so the one I found very funny is like this apparently JavaScript fatigue. It's like fatigue square. Like, that must be really, really tiring. And I was wondering what's going to be next. Maybe like next year we're going to have like a recursive fatigue. I don't know, like too many things. So we've got this NPM thing, which is the largest package registry in the world. We should be very proud, JavaScript developers. And then again, what should I learn next? There are so many things, so many libraries. So I'm here to try to help you answer that question. This is my table of contents. We're going to start with some story, like a personal story that I suffer myself. It's a real engineering story. I hope you can relate to that. Then we'll come up with a principle from that story. There will be a demo, then another story, and another demo. I'm not very good at naming a table of contents. I just add a number at the end. I promise my variables in my code, I don't do the same, but for this, I thought it was fine. So here's my story, my real world story. You ready? My story starts, this is like real engineering thing, real world, with my microwave, my old microwave, to be fair. So here I was one evening trying to warm up some food, and you know what happened? I clicked on the button, and the door didn't open. And as you can see, because of the green numbers at the top, the service is working. So I can actually turn on the microwave. It will make that noise. It won't warm up anything because I cannot put anything inside. But the backend is ready. Clearly, the button is not working, so the front end is broken. True story. So what do you do? Who thinks I can warm up my food in less than 3 days? Like, you know, how can I do this? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? Yes, you go to the warehouse, and then you just get a new one, and it's very simple. You get it. But it's not that simple, because first thing is, you have a team. You want to get a new tool, and in my case, we are a two-people team, and she was looking at me, and she said, like, when it broke, she also wanted to eat. She said, like, we got to fix this, which means I have to fix this because I'm the engineer. She's the boss, right? So, and so we thought of going to that warehouse and get one. And she had this idea. We should get, because our oven is also very old, to buy an oven and a microwave together. And I thought, this is fundamentally wrong because we are coupling two different concerns. We should not do this. She was like, what are you talking about? Anyway, then I said, what is next? Because I want to warm up this food. I need to order this microwave. It will come maybe 1 or 2 days. In the case of Amazon, maybe NPM a bit longer. And then we need to migrate. I live in the UK. I cannot just throw my microwave away. I need to dispose it somewhere else. So it's a lot of things I need to consider. It was not that easy, just go and get it. So I thought, can I fix this in less than an hour? How can I do this? So what I did is I went one level down in the stack, right? So I opened my tool, and I saw this, which it reminds me of Node modules the first time I look at that. But I'll save you some time. I knew where in which folder my problem was, because it was where that button, and there it is. There the problem is. There is a bug there. I'm going to help you. That's the bug. And so actually there is a missing piece. There's a plastic piece that went in the microwave, and I could not see. So I actually was sitting there for actually 20 minutes maybe, thinking, what's the problem here? And finally I found a solution. You still cannot see the picture of the missing piece because I was not thinking of this when I was fixing this. But there is basically an idea that helped me understand the solution, how to fix this. There is a physical principle that this, and I believe most microwaves, probably yours as well, so this is really useful, follow, which is this. So the missing piece is the fulcrum. There is a force that goes in, force that goes out, and then magically the door clinks, opens. And I learned that principle, the interesting thing, when I was at high school, like many, many years ago, and the thing is, it's still relevant. And very interesting, if I look at this picture, I see a lot of circles. It looks different, but the principle is the same. Every gear is getting an energy in and an energy out. So the first energy that goes to the first gear is the one that moves the very last gear. And if you're a curious person, and if you have a mechanical clock, that thing that does click, clock, click in your living room, maybe in your, sometimes doesn't let you sleep, just click, click. It's using the same principle. More sophisticated, but it's the same idea, mechanical clock. So, what did I learn here is that, it's good to understand how libraries work, but if you go and understand one level down, in the case of, if I'm a developer and I use libraries like GraphQL, React, or you'd use Vue, knowing what's the underlying technology, JavaScript, is going to be very useful. And the other thing is trying to learn principles, because principles have longevity. Like that thing I learned at high school, I could fix my microwave with that. So let me show you a demo, some little code where I will try to apply this thing. And maybe I can make this a bit bigger. Probably a bit bigger. Is it okay at the back? Well, not sure about it. I'll do one more. No one at the back said yes. Okay, let's do this. So I have this, first demo, so I can show you the website actually. This is a simple website, create React tab with a form. The thing I want to show you first is this composition is awesome. I'm console logging some string here, which is this string here, which I'm transforming before I actually console log here at the line 22. So I have a series of functions that can operate and transform a given text. You receive some text, and it outputs some other text. So here what I do first in my first gear, remove numbers, is I apply this in energy, which is the initial text. It gets out some string, goes to the next gear processes the string, and then it goes to uppercase, which is the last one, and then I get the string, and I'm showing it here. So this is called function composition. And I can also write the same idea using a compose function, which will do this for us. I don't have a compose function, but actually I could write it because it's not very complicated. I'm going to export it because I'm going to use it in a bit. So my compose function, it's a function that receives 3 arguments. It's an array of functions. Let's call these functions. And what it does is it returns something I can invoke, so I guess that's another function. And so it receives some text. I'm going to call this text initial value. And what it does is I'm going to get these functions, and I'm going to reduce them. I'm going to do a reduce write because I'm applying from this to this. And what I'm going to do now, when I reduce them, I have a function that gets an accumulated value, is the string, is the energy that I'm passing from one to the other. And then in every iteration, I get a function because each of these are functions. So I'm going to call it fn. So what I'll do, I will invoke the function with the accumulated value, and my initial value will be the initial value. So if this works, hopefully it will. I did this 3 times this morning before I came here, and it did work. Some people ask me, why do you do this live coding? It's because of the adrenaline. That keeps me awake. Like, yeah, I don't know why I do it, but OK. So to see I'm not cheating, I'm going to remove this function here. And so I should get the numbers. So all live, working, fine. So now I want to show you something else. There is this thing in React. I really like React. I've been using for a while. And now we got these hooks. And apparently, the way we were building, we were reusing components behavior before was complicated. And we got this new way, which is called hooks, which help us compose in a better way the functionality of our components. So I can show you, I have in my application, I have this form component, which is this form here, which is using this use form, which is like a custom hook. And if I go to this file, this custom hook it's here, which is using more hooks, and more hooks, and there are a lot of hooks here. But let me show you actually finalize the demo. I can type here, and this is the validation with this use reducer, really cool. I want to show you how it's working, this thing. I don't know if you, for instance, know Redux, there is this idea of middleware, so I'm going to use something similar. I have this logger, which, as if you can see, the output is this, the input is this, but it's also the output. So I can actually use the same principle and connect them. So now I can type and see what's happening. I'm doing this console log. But if I refresh the page, I lose what I typed, and it would be nice if I could persist that, but I have another hook that can do that with that effect and all those things. So I'm going to keep going with this approach. And so now, if it works, I should be able to type, refresh, and I have this functionality here, which is awesome. Fine, hooks. This is not a hooks talk, but you know, if this is all about composing, they say we are composing this behavior. Can I actually use the same function I was composing those other strings? Why not? I mean, should be possible. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to compose this, and I think I remove this, and I close this. Same function I was using just with some JavaScript, now I'm using it with these hooks things, and it's working. So if you notice, I have this showing the position of the mouse there just below the logo, and that's because I have a higher order component, that old thing that we were using before, and I'm applying this to my component here, my app. I'm composing my app with this higher order component. So this is composing, so I should be able to use the same function, right? So I'm going to just use the function that I created with those strings, and I'm going to compose my application with a mouse position, and it's working. So all working with the same function. And I can tell you, the first time I've been doing functional programming in JavaScript for a while, it took me a while until I realized, actually, I can use the same function I'm using in my components and also in my functions. So what is the lesson here? Compose is a principle. It's a functional programming principle. If you understand this principle, and if you understand functional programming, it will be much easier when new features in those libraries come, or when you want to learn more libraries, because you understand the principles. And the libraries, there are many. Principles, there are not that many. And it's the same idea as the fulcrum, which actually has also the input and the output. So now let me show you another story, which has to do with server-side rendering. We had a client who wanted a website for a new website for their product, and this is the new website. This is the old website. I don't know if you notice the difference. So this is actually one of the most prestigious literature magazines in the United States, from Boston University, and they wanted, of course, it's all about content, server-side rendering, also because they want to share the content. Some social networks, it's more difficult to share the content if you don't render from the server. So server-side rendering, and they had 2,000 pages. And then we did some analysis of the market at the time. This is a year and a half ago. And so we decided to use Gatsby, Gatsby 1. We did some benchmark. Gatsby, in theory, supported 2,500 pages. Our project had 2,000. Our benchmark worked well, good. So we started halfway through the project. Guess what? Requirements change. So now we also want to include this content. It's 10,000 pages, and there's no way Gatsby could handle that. The build was impossible to handle that. So we were like, OK, we need to look for an alternative. And so we thought maybe Next.js, but which we were not that familiar with at the time. And then we thought, look, but we had this issue. We just committed to this framework, Gatsby, and now it doesn't work. And now we need to go to another framework that we are not very familiar with. So what is the alternative? And then we look at this thing, which we knew very well, and which is Create React App. And the problem with this tool is it doesn't have server-side rendering, which is what we needed. But then we thought, can we actually compose our Create React App with server-side rendering? And when I say compose, it's not to hack it. It's just to, can I add something and remove if I need? So we thought, I don't know. Let's have a look. So we opened Create React App, and I got something like this the first time, like a lot of things that I could not understand. But after looking at it for a while, this is simply what is happening. You have your browser is talking to another server. This is on your local environment. So there is a server. When you change some code, it's watching your files. It will compile, and it will send a message via WebSocket to your browser. So it will do the hot module reloading if you have that enabled. And so in the end, it's request response, same idea. And then we thought, can we just, without touching that box, and this is actually how it works in production, there is no server at all. You produce static files, and they're distributed on a CDN. So we thought, can we just add on this picture another box on the side without touching the first one? And so we did. So the idea is, OK, I'm going to have another box. So my browser will talk to the other box, which is a server that will process the HTML. And everything else will be processed by the next box, right? And then it will all come back. I can still, if I want, from my browser, talk to the 3,000 if I want, or I can talk to 888 and then go all the way back. So now demo 2. So demo 2. So I have this other hello world, and which is going to be very simple, just to make the point. So here I have, normally you would use React scripts, and this will start your Create React App. So we added this other script, which doesn't touch at all the original script. It's a new box. So let me show you how it works. So if I do yarn start, then what I will see is, OK, I'm using the other port. I was using the 3,000 in the previous demo. So of course, it's telling me this is nothing new, Create React App. OK, fine, get the new one. So it opens 3001. Hopefully, it will work. It was working this morning. And here it is. Cool. But I said that I want another box. Oh, here it's coming. So I'm also opening another tab. I can go to 3000, operate 3001 in this case. I can go to this other one, which is this new box. Is this working? I don't know. How do we test this? Any front-end developer in the room? How should I test this? Maybe background color red. That's how we normally test things, right? So if I say background red, I come here to this one already changed, 3001. It's something we expected because that's what Create React App does. But also the other one. So what's happening here is the first box. I'm going directly to 888. It's processing some work and going to the next box, coming back in and out. It's applying the same idea. So, and if I don't like, which is the interesting bit, one of them, I think, is that if in the end I don't like, the only thing I need to do is remove this. That's it. Then when I start, forget about the server side. So, which is something we didn't have with Gatsby when we had that issue. So, I'm sorry, I apologize, I contributed to your fatigue. So we put this into an NPM package, but I'm not here to sell you my package. I'm actually here to say don't use it, because even it works, and actually is the library we're using to power that website for Boston University. This project went over budget because we spent longer than we were supposed to, and because also we found other problems like caching and code splitting that Create React App doesn't need to worry about how you do caching on the server when you have a server, because they don't have a server on production. So what did I learn here? Though I say, it's good to go one level down in the stack, learn those things, explore, you need to know where to stop, because we have limitations. We have budgets, there are timings, and you need to know where to stop. The team really enjoyed that project. We all learned a lot. It was amazing, but the client was not that happy. So you need to know where to stop. And the other thing is, make sure when you build a library, or when you use a library, that if you change your mind, it's easier to do that, because yes, we did our benchmark, everything was fine, but requirements change, and those things happen. So what do you do in that case? If you can just, go back easily, that's gonna make your life much easier. Thank you very much.